Mass Effect 1 was about wonder, discovery, standing on alien worlds for the first time and feeling that rush of possibility in a whole new world to explore. Mass Effect 2 is about what happens when that galaxy stops feeling infinite and starts feeling heavy. Mass Effect 2 builds on the universe and questions its predecessor asked, but now the universe feels like a complete sandbox, and the second game takes you deep into this new world with an unbelievably compelling cast of characters. Not only do you have some of the best character writing in fiction anywhere, but Mass Effect 2 presents one of the most satisfying end-to-end games I've ever played, and the single best final mission ever made. The game just oozes confidence as BioWare takes increasingly large risks with their story. The game literally kills you in the opening minutes. Commander Shepard dies, brutally at that. Shepard, the character you spent 40 hours building, the first human Spectre who stopped the Reaper Vanguard Sovereign, actually dies. The Normandy gets torn apart by an unknown enemy, crew members are sucked into space, and you drag Joker to the last escape pod because he refuses to leave his post. And then, the explosion catches you. Your suit ruptures, oxygen vents, you watch Shepard's vitals flatline as they tumble toward a planet's gravity well like debris. Then credits. Just leaving the player's jaw on the floor within the first few minutes of the game. Mass Effect isn't really a story about saving humanity or stopping the Collectors or any of those galactic stakes. Though don't get me wrong, the cosmic threat is real and massive, but that's just the backdrop in this game. The real story is about connection, about leadership, and about what it means to take a group of broken people, all with their own baggage, and somehow get them to believe in something again. Form a team of the galaxy's greatest warriors and minds in the hopes to even have a chance of stopping the inevitable Reaper invasion. The Reapers are the storm on the horizon, while the crew is the real heart and soul of the experience. When you pause to think about it, every single squad mate is fighting their own internal war and has something interesting to say. Mordin, wrestling with the ethics of the genophage and his role within it all. Jack, just trying to survive childhood trauma that wasn't ever her fault. Miranda, chasing perfection just to feel like she's enough while trying to protect her sister from the same fate. Tali and Legion, each carrying centuries of guilt and hate between their people. Garrus, pretending his revenge is purpose enough in a hopeless galaxy. Samara, fighting for her daughter's soul and her own honor, while Thane is desperately trying to save his sons from the sins of his father. And Shepard, he's just caught in the middle, trying to hold all of it together while asking, what even makes me anymore? Because you're not just saving the galaxy this time, you're saving them. And through them, you see a galaxy truly worth fighting for. Mass Effect 2 presents a masterclass in character writing. Every loyalty mission, every quiet conversation in the Normandy's mess hall, every argument between crewmates. It all adds up to something really special, something earned, taking what was already a strength in Mass Effect 1 and turning it up to 100. When the game tells you it's a suicide mission, it's not just a tagline, it really feels like the game earns that title. The game truly makes you feel like what you're doing is a suicide mission, and guess what? If you don't make the right choices, lead effectively, people die, permanently. But we'll get back into that a little bit later. The first game was about creating a rich universe and a terrifying threat. Mission accomplished. This one is about building a family, unifying a broken galaxy, and stopping the mysterious Collectors. And if you've ever lost someone on that final run through a Mega 4 relay, you know exactly what this game is about. After your death at the beginning of the game, you awaken in a lab resuscitated by a mysterious force, essentially brought back from the dead. And here's where things get complicated. The organization that brings you back, it's Cerberus. If you played Mass Effect 1, that name should immediately make you a bit uncomfortable. In Mass Effect 1, Cerberus was the unambiguous terrorist group. Extremists conducting horrific experiments you actively shut down. They killed Alliance soldiers, the very people they claimed to protect, all in the service of human advancement. And now, you're alive because they spent 2 years and billions of credits rebuilding your corpse. The Lazarus Project cutscene is visceral body horror. Cybernetics weaving through dead tissue, synthetic components replacing organic systems, a corpse painstakingly rebuilt. You wake up on an operating table mid-crisis. The facility's under attack, and your first moments of resurrection are confusion, pain, and immediate violence. And underneath it all, this question whispers, why would Cerberus bring you back? What do they want? Because organizations like this don't resurrect heroes out of goodness. Symbols aren't people, they're tools, propaganda, things you use to inspire or manipulate or control. And Cerberus just invested everything into making you their symbol. The early game pulses with existential tension. You're wearing someone else's logo now, working for extremists your former allies considered terrorists, operating on the fringes while the galaxy moved on without you. And the trauma of dying, actually dying, flatline dead, doesn't just disappear because you're breathing again. The opening wipes the slate clean through death and rebirth. Alliance backing, gone. Council support, vanished. The safety of the Normandy, torn apart in vacuum. You step into a darker galaxy with only your reputation carried over, grappling with uncomfortable realities that you're alive because the extremists wanted you alive. Working with Cerberus is intentionally uncomfortable. It's by design. And that debt, it's going to cost you more than you realize. So you wake up, fight through the station, and after squatting up with Miranda and Jacob, two Cerberus operatives, you're brought face to face with the leader of Cerberus, the elusive man himself. He's waiting in this room overlooking a dying star, chain smoking, voice like gravel and honey, and Martin Sheen's performance here is impossibly charismatic. He's polite, well-informed, and confident in the way only someone accustomed to moving pieces on a galactic chessboard can be. He's also unapologetically ruthless, and he doesn't even try to hide it. He represents moral ambiguity given human form in a very comfortable chair. He insists that human colonies are vanishing, entire populations abducted by unknown forces, while the Council does nothing. That only Cerberus, operating beyond government limitations, can safeguard humanity's future. He frames Shepard's resurrection as necessary, as serving the greater good of humanity. And here's the uncomfortable part of the game does really well. A lot of what he says makes sense. The Council dismissed Reaper warnings even after Sovereign's attack. Even after a giant machine god tried to murder everyone on the Citadel, they're burying their heads in the sand. They're bureaucratic, slow, concerned with maintaining political balance over decisive action. Humanity's still the new species and still fighting for the respect. Still vulnerable. The elusive man argues that humanity needs an aggressive guardian, someone willing to do what governments want, to pursue human advancement by any means necessary. And look, I'm not saying he's completely right, but the game makes you understand his perspective. It makes you uneasily agree with some of his points. This is the genius of the character and the brilliance of old school BioWare writing. Throughout the game, trust and control define your relationship. He provides intel, funding, a ship, and a crew, but it's always unclear how much he's withholding from you, what his true objectives are beneath the stated mission. Every scene with him is bathed in the glow of that dying star behind him. Not subtle symbolism, right? The guy who claims to protect humanity is literally framed by a star being consumed. He's willing to burn things, people, principles, entire colonies if necessary, for what he sees as humanity's future. In a way, he mirrors Shepard, possessing the will and the means to get the job done when nobody else can. Unlike Mass Effect 1, where the lines were clear, Saren bad, Sovereign worse, Mass Effect 2 places you in an uneasy partnership with the elusive man. ME2 dares you to work with him anyway, constantly asking, how far will you go with this alliance, and how far against it? The elusive man ensures that even victory will be complicated, that trust and control remain lingering questions all the way to the final scenes. Because the scariest villains aren't the ones who are wrong about everything. They're the ones who are right about just enough to make you doubt yourself. He'll ask for one last compromise at the end of the game, and your answer defines your Shepard. The elusive man presents you with a beautiful gift to cement your new partnership with the Normandy SR-2. She's bigger, sleeker, more advanced across the board, and branded with Cerberus orange at every turn. Which should almost feel like a violation, but it's drowned out by the excitement of seeing your old home rejuvenated. Stepping aboard creates this strange emotional dissonance. The layout's familiar, it's a Normandy after all, but everything feels slightly wrong in subtle ways, like visiting your childhood home after a stranger's redecorated. This vessel mirrors Shepard's own resurrection, rebuilt with Cerberus technology, more capable than before, but fundamentally changed in ways that make you question what was lost in the reconstruction. Joker's return, however, eases a lot of that alienation. Flight Lieutenant Jeff Joker Moreau, still the galaxy's finest pilot, despite brittle bones, and still armed with the perfect sarcastic comment for any situation. His unbridled joy at flying the best ship in the fleet again injects warmth into the otherwise sterile Cerberus atmosphere. And his enthusiasm is infectious. You can't help but smile when he's geeking out about the upgraded engines. But then Joker introduces the ship's new AI, Edie, enhanced defense intelligence, who speaks with this calm, omnipresent authority, and Joker is immediately hostile. Because an AI on a human military vessel is virtually unprecedented. galactic law largely bans AI research after the Geth Uprising. The whole synthetics gaining sentience and then nearly wiping out their creators left some scars. Again, some great foreshadowing for those of you who know how the story ends. Joker's still bitter about the original Normandy's destruction. He sees Edie as just another threat, calls her the ship's ghost, with genuine resentment in his voice. Edie counters with dry wit that suggests something more than simple programming. Like when Joker complains, she'll say something perfectly timed that's technically helpful, but also clearly a dig at Joker. It's kinda great. And this triangle of Shepard, Joker, and Edie foreshadows a major theme of this journey and trilogy overall. Organics and synthetics working together. Uneasily at first, but building towards something that might be called trust if you let it develop. Touring the SR-2 reveals some familiar faces willing to work with Cerberus for the right cause. Dr. Chakwas returns if you encouraged her, a medic providing continuity with the past. Her presence is honestly kind of comforting. It suggests that good people can also make compromises when the stakes are high enough. And from the very first conversations, the game hints at what's coming. The planned assault through the Omega-4 relay, a suicide mission where every life could hang on your decisions. Mass Effect 2 actively foreshadows danger right from the jump. Ship upgrades matter, crew loyalty matters, preparation matters. The game is essentially telling you, pay attention, care about these people, because if you don't, they're gonna die. The mood on the SR-2 is hopeful but tense. A crew of disparate individuals coming together under a Cerberus banner, all aware that a lethal journey lies ahead. The stage is set for Shepard to begin assembling a team worth dying for. Aboard a ship that's both a second chance and a constant test of leadership under the elusive man's watchful eyes. Mass Effect 2 adopts this brilliant structure where it kind of plays out like a heist film. Think Ocean's 11 meets The Dirty Dozen, in space and with a lot more existential dread. The elusive man makes it clear from the start, you're gonna assault the Collectors, an enemy that seems somehow linked to the Reapers and has been abducting entire human colonies without leaving any survivors. But this is a suicide mission without the right team. So what follows is a systematic recruitment, and you need specialists, the best of the best, people skilled enough and crazy enough to fly through a relay that no ship has ever returned from. Each squadmate gets their own mission, essentially a short film introducing their skills, personalities, and maybe even their demons. Then you get an optional loyalty mission that delves deeper into that backstory. And here's what makes this structure work. You're investing in people whose survival in the final mission literally, mechanically depends on earning their trust and resolving their issues. But this fundamentally couldn't have worked if we didn't care about the characters we're recruiting. And this is the single biggest strength Mass Effect has. The characters are bloody incredible. By the endgame, you've built emotional bonds with each member, shared their pain, and helped them confront past traumas. And then, you have to put them in mortal danger. It's brilliant and cruel in equal measure. So let's meet the people who make the Normandy feel like a home, and why their baggage becomes your stakes. Jacob's the first new squadmate you properly meet alongside Miranda, a former Alliance Marine who joined Cerberus out of frustration with bureaucracy. He's grounded, soldierly, and carries himself with a calm sense of authority. The adult in the room who exemplifies duty and loyalty while growing increasingly uncomfortable with his employer's methods through the game. To nobody's surprise, he is one of my least favorite characters in the game, but honestly, I think the hate is a bit overblown. Yes, he has a ton of flaws and few redeeming traits, but he's still pretty interesting, and his loyalty mission is actually pretty dark. His father, a naval officer missing for 10 years, is found alive on a remote planet. You help Jacob investigate, expecting maybe a tearful reunion or something like that. Instead, you find out that his father survived a crash by enslaving the surviving crew, hoarding supplies and setting himself up as a tyrant over those survivors who'd been mentally compromised by the planet's conditions. It's horrific, and Jacob's response is immediately disgust. Despite blood ties, he condemns his father's crimes without hesitation. Wrong is wrong, even when family's involved. The mission doesn't earn Jacob's loyalty so much as remove a distraction. He already respects Shepard right from the beginning. What it does is simply solidify his resolve. Seeing his own father's abuse of power makes Jacob determined never to tolerate tyranny, even within Cerberus. Proof that even within an extremist organizations, individuals can uphold honorable values. Jacob's story underscores Mass Effect 2's examination of power and corruption. His father had every reason to be a hero, survival against impossible odds, but chose to become a monster. It's a quiet arc, but one that reinforces the game's central questions. What kind of person will you be when everything's falling apart? Miranda's introduced as your Cerberus appointed handler, and she makes a very strong first impression. Cold, driven, and confident to the point of arrogance. Which, honestly, if I looked like that and had her skill set, I'd probably be an arrogant pain in the ass too. She was genetically engineered for perfection, literally designed by her father to be flawless, which sounds cool until you think about it for like 5 seconds and realize how horrifying it is. In gameplay, she's versatile, biotic, and tech expert, embodying control and efficiency. She's pretty much good at everything, which is kind of her whole shtick. Initially, she keeps Shepard at arm's length with this mix of pride and defensiveness, like she knows what people think of the organization but believes in her mission anyway. Initially, she kinda sucks, but through her time on the Normandy, especially if you complete her loyalty mission, she has a complete change of heart. Miranda's arc centers on learning that perfection and humanity aren't the same thing, that being engineered for excellence doesn't mean you understand what actually matters. Her loyalty mission flips our understanding of her completely. The Prodigal reveals that Miranda's father created her from his own DNA, not a true daughter, but a project, a possession to prove his genetic superiority. She's literally his vanity project given human form. Miranda fled her father's clutches years ago with her genetic twin, effectively her clone. She spent years hiding Oriana, ensuring she grows up with a real family, experiencing the normal childhood that Miranda never had. Now their father has located Oriana, and Miranda needs Shepard's help to save her. This mission reveals Miranda's fiercely protective side, which comes as a total shock and deeply humanizes her to the player. Stark contrast to the icy corporate demeanor that she's had up until this point. She admits that the safety of her sister is her life's work, more important than Cerberus, even more important than their current mission, more important than her own engineered perfection. And you realize everything that Miranda does, every cold calculation, every ruthless decision, it's all been about protecting her sister, about getting someone else's humanity that she was denied. Shepard's assistant profoundly affects Miranda. By trusting Shepard with her most vulnerable emotional priority, she learns to trust in ways her engineering could never account for. Once Oriana's safe, Miranda visibly relaxes. You can see years of anxiety lifting off of her shoulders. The weight of protecting her sister alone, finally shared with someone she respects and trusts. Her loyalty cemented not by command, but through compassion. By the fact that Shepard cared when Miranda revealed the imperfect, human core beneath that perfect exterior. By the finale, she's willing to defy even the elusive man if Shepard's earned her faith, which is huge for someone who wants to toe the Cerberus line without question. That brings us to Dr. Mordin Solus, who might be Mass Effect 2's most unconventional squadmate. And I mean that in the best way. Arguably, he's my favorite character in the entire trilogy, although it is damn tough competition. He's a Solarian scientist who talks at breakneck speeds, mixing casual observations with moral philosophy and the occasional tune. When you meet him, he's running a clinic in Omega's slums, treating plagues that nobody else is willing to touch. Just casually saving lives in the galaxy's worst neighborhood because somebody has to. He's famous in universe as a key scientist behind modifying the genophage, the biological weapon that keeps Krogan reproduction in check. And upon recruitment, Mordin vigorously defends the genophage as the right solution to a galactic problem. He's got his whole ethical framework worked out. Very logical, very methodical. To him, the genophage was necessary, a calculated way to prevent war without outright genocide. This is a damn interesting perspective, especially after the player's confrontation with Rex in the first game. You've seen the horror of the genophage through the eyes of your squad mate, now you hear from the opposing viewpoint. And he has some damn compelling points before him too. But you can hear the subtlest cracks in his certainty, especially as time goes on. The way his voice gets a bit faster when he's defending his choices, the moments when he gets quiet and you realize he's been thinking about this for decades. His loyalty mission forces this buried conflict into the open. Old Blood finds his former student Malin working on a cure for the genophage, driven by guilt over what they did together, torturing Krogan test subjects in pursuit of redemption, which is its own kind of horror, right? Trying to atone for one atrocity by committing another. Mordin's initial stance is resolute. The genophage was justified and Malin must be stopped. But evidence that Malin chose this path, not through coercion, but genuine moral rejection of their shared work, this actually rattles him a little bit. Right up until this point, Mordin was certain that the Krogans had kidnapped and tortured Malin into doing this. But no, someone he respects has looked at their legacy and called it monstrous. The climactic moment finds you and Mordin discovering Malin's cure data, and Shepard can convince Mordin that maybe, just maybe, they were wrong, and that the genophage wasn't a necessary evil, that it was just evil. Or you can reaffirm his original justification, and he'll destroy the data and recommit to his past actions. And this decision actually holds a lot of weight in Mass Effect 3 in allowing you to potentially cure the genophage once and for all. Either way, Mordin's loyalty is earned by helping him come to terms with his legacy. By the mission's end, he's resolved his inner turmoil, whether that means accepting fault or doubling down on his convictions. This resolution is crucial for him to face the suicide mission without hesitation. And Mordin's story is one of genius wrestling with guilt. It shows that even the brightest minds carry heavy burdens when lives are at stake. I can't quite prove it, but I think this is definitely inspired by the real life of Oppenheimer, who was instrumental in developing the atomic bomb. Through him, Mass Effect 2 tackles the ethics of warfare and the greater good. Can doing something terrible in the service of survival ever truly be justified? And I love that the game doesn't give you an easy answer. It just shows you a brilliant scientist who spent decades trying to logic his way out of feeling guilty about this genocide. His personal arc, culminating in those soulful moments humming in his lab or reflecting on the lives affected by his work, stands out as one of the game's most poignant examinations of responsibility. Mordin shows us that intelligence without empathy is incomplete, that the smartest person in the room can still be wrong about the most important things, and that admitting fault takes more courage than defending past decisions. Also, when he sings, gets me every damn time. Garrus also returns in Mass Effect 2, transformed by hardship, and it's one of the game's best reveals. We find him on Omega, operating as the vigilante Archangel, who are looking to recruit, bringing justice to a crime-infested station that nobody else is willing to touch. When Shepard intervenes to save him, we learn that his teammates had betrayed him from within. His colleagues had been slaughtered by a mole named Sidonis. Garrus barely survived, physically scarred with that crack across his face, and emotionally scarred by the guilt of trusting the wrong person. Rejoining Shepard gives Garrus renewed purpose, an opportunity for true camaraderie again. In combat, he's a crack-shot sniper and a tactical expert, sliding back into his role as Shepard's right-hand man with a harder, more pronounced renegade edge this time. And look, Garrus is a fan favorite for a reason. The man's basically perfect. He's hyper-competent, loyal, funny, and his bromance with Shepard is one of gaming's greatest friendships. He's not just your second, he's proof trust can survive hell and come back funnier. His loyalty mission is straightforward but impactful. Hunt down Sidonis, the traitor. Eye for an eye sets up an incredible tension. Garrus perched with a sniper scope on the Citadel, waiting for Shepard's signal to take the kill shot on Sidonis. And you have to choose. Let Garrus pull the trigger, or intervene and let Sidonis live after hearing his confession. Here's the remarkable thing about this mission. Garrus is already loyal to you. Unlike some of your other companions, you can't truly lose his loyalty through this choice. Even if Shepard talks him out of killing Sidonis, Garrus ultimately accepts it and falls in line. This reflects how deep their bond runs. Forged back in Mass Effect 1, tested through death and resurrection, strong enough to survive disagreements. He trusts you enough to fall in line regardless of how he feels. Spare Sidonis, and Garrus finally exhales, the first good night's sleep since Omega. By mission's end, whether Sidonis is alive or dead, Garrus' arc is about letting go, about transitioning from lone wolf vigilante back to someone who trusts their team. He finds his family once again in the Normandy's crew, starting to mentor younger members, making terrible jokes about calibrations that become iconic to the fanbase. In one of the game's most touching moments, Garrus reflects that if the galaxy's going to end, there's nobody he'd rather have it end with than Shepard. That's not dramatic declaration, that's just truth, delivered with casual confidence. And unlike in other games where moments like this may come across cheesy or shallow, it feels earned. You've been through so much with Garrus at this point that you feel every word as it lands. Garrus embodies loyalty and camaraderie. He's the friend who's going to follow you into hell because that's what friends do. And honestly, everybody needs a Garrus in their life. Believe it or not, somehow Garrus gets even cooler in Mass Effect 3, which didn't feel like a possibility at this point. In a game full of complex backstories, Grunt stands out for having no past at all. You literally birth him from a tank, which is a sentence I never thought I'd have to say, genetically engineered by the mad Krogan warlord Orkir to be the perfect Krogan warrior. Grunt emerges formidable, violent, and utterly confused by his own existence. He's like a teenager going through puberty, Except the teenager is 7 feet tall, weighs 800 pounds, and could snap you in half. And you know what? He'd probably even enjoy it. When you first meet him, he's restless, irritable, and craving battle for reasons he can't quite articulate. Shepard essentially becomes his parent figure, and Grunt views Shepard as a worthy leader to imprint upon, if treated with respect. In the field, Grunt is a walking tank with a shotgun, fearless and super strong, reflecting raw Krogan power at its finest. His loyalty mission provides one of the game's most cathartic sequences. As Grunt's agitation grows, the crew suggests taking him to Tuchanka, the Krogan homeworld, for answers. Turns out, Grunt's experiencing blood rage. Basically Krogan puberty amplified because Okeer designed him to be the perfect specimen. The remedy is simple and perfect for a Krogan. Fight. Even beyond the combat, I love the dialogue in this mission and seeing the Krogan's culture on full display. We'd had a small taste of who they are in the first game, but now we get to see a full clan and how they settle their disputes, leading to one of my favorite renegade interrupts of the entire game. You help Grunt undergo Clan Urdnot's traditional trials, battling through waves of deadly wildlife, and ultimately facing a Thresher Maw in an arena. And this mission is just pure fun. It's so cathartic, Grunt getting to be fully, completely Krogan, embracing what he is without any apology. Whether you kill it or just survive the time, weakling, the right still stands. Grunt is now Urdnot. Killing the Thresher Maw earns extra respect, but either way, he's still proven himself. By slaughtering mighty foes alongside Shepard and surviving the ritual, Grunt earns honorary membership into Clan Urdnot. More importantly, he finds belonging and purpose. You can't help but feel proud. It's like watching a kid take their first steps, except the kid could tear your arm off. Grunt wasn't seeking family in a soft sense, he was seeking a reason to fight, which for Krogan is essentially a reason to live. He chooses Shepard and the Normandy as his clan because from his perspective, what greater battles could there be? The bigger the fight, the better. So a suicide mission, that's exactly what a Krogan would want. Grunt's story explores nature versus nurture. He was grown to be a killer, yet chooses his own path with Shepard's guidance. It adds a triumphant note to the narrative. In a game full of atonement and guilt, Grunt's arc celebrates becoming who you were meant to be, and loving every second of it. I also wanted to touch on Rex here. If he survived the events of Mass Effect 1, you find him back on Tuchanka, trying to rebuild his clan and unite the Krogan. This feels like a really great continuation of his arc, from lost and hopeless bounty hunter to a galvanized leader trying to rebuild Krogan society, and prove to the galaxy that they deserve a place in it. While Mass Effect doesn't always feel like your choices hold the weight advertised, this is one of my favorite ripple effects. If in contrast Rex died on Virmire, his brother Reeve has taken his place. And unlike Rex, Reeve is the classic stereotype of a Krogan. Rash, violent, and impulsive. Under his leadership, Tuchanka feels a lot further away from the redemption arc that Rex is building towards. Rex's death leaves a lasting impact on the Krogan race that has even further ramifications in Mass Effect 3. Next, we're off to recruit Subject Zero, Jack, who might embody Mass Effect 2's themes of trauma and trust more than any of the other recruits. And she's immediately memorable too. Maximum security prisoner, most powerful human biotic ever known, covered in tattoos, head shaved, radiating barely contained rage. And this mission feels like an exciting prison break. After Shepard frees her during a prison riot, Jack joins the crew on her own terms. Mostly interested in killing collectors and taking out anger on anyone in her way. In combat, Jack's biotic powers, especially Shockwave, make her terrifying, reflecting her unconstrained chaotic personality. But beneath the snarling and profanity, and there's a lot of profanity, Jack is one of the most tragically scarred companions you have in this story. Her backstory emerges slowly and it's pretty brutal. As a little girl, she was kidnapped by Cerberus, raised in a secret facility where children were tortured to develop their biotic abilities. Jack's immense power was unlocked through pain and cruelty, leaving psychological wounds that never really healed. She trusts nobody, believes only in survival, and everyone's categorized by what can hurt me versus what I can hurt. Which, given her history, makes complete sense. Her loyalty mission asks you to help destroy the ghosts that haunt her. One of the quieter and more chilling loyalty missions in the game, Subject Zero takes Jack back to Tetlan facility on Pragia. The abandoned Cerberus facility where she was experimented on, she wants to literally blow it up, seeking closure through destruction on her own terms, which is very on brand for Jack. As you explore the crumbling complex, Jack confronts the ghosts of her past. Records reveal that scientists have pit biotic children against each other, focusing all efforts on Jack as the prime success. The details were actually pretty horrifying, but ultimately, they matter less to Jack than the act of destruction itself. With Shepard's help, she obliterates the place in fiery catharsis, and the most important outcome isn't the ruined building, it's Jack, realizing that Shepard cared enough to do this alongside her. By witnessing her pain and not betraying her or abandoning her, Shepard earns Jack's trust, something she probably thought was impossible at this point. What I found especially interesting in this mission is watching Jack struggle with the idea that her suffering had been fully orchestrated by her captors. Jack was purposely isolated from the other students, and they were manipulated into seeing her as a threat and hating her. After this mission, Jack opens up to even Mordin, shares vulnerable stories, even becomes a romance option for male Shepards if you approach her with genuine kindness rather than just physical interest. But Jack's temper isn't entirely extinguished by these events. A famous confrontation erupts between her and Miranda, the Cerberus victim versus the Cerberus cheerleader. And how you handle that dispute can cost you Jack's loyalty if you side harshly with Miranda, or if you lack the Paragon Renegade checks. And that fragility is intentional. Trust, once earned, still needs care to survive. Every one of these stories loops back to the underlying thesis and themes of the game. Trust under impossible odds. Jack's arc is about learning that vulnerability isn't a weakness, that letting someone in doesn't mean that they're going to destroy you. She's proof even the most broken among us can find family in someone who's willing to fight for them. And in a game about building a crew to face extinction, that matters more than any biotic powers ever could. Thane Krios is introduced draped in mystery and melancholy. He's a Drell assassin, exotic, reptilian, and speaking in religious metaphors like a warrior poet. When Shepard meets him on Ilum, he's praying, which is not what you'd expect from this legendary hitman you've been hearing about. He has this monk-like aura, refers to religious concepts, calmly accepts the possibility of death with the kind of peace that comes from countless deaths inflicted. Because Thane is dying. Keppel syndrome, a terminal illness, is slowly destroying his lungs. He joined Shepard's mission as penance, one final chance to make a positive impact before his timer runs out. In battle, Thane is lethal, sniper, and biotic, a darker mirror to Garrus's role. But it's his story that really stays with you. Thane's arc is steeped in redemption, faith, and family. His loyalty mission reveals that his estranged son, Kolyat, has taken a contract to assassinate someone on the Citadel, emulating the violent path that destroyed their family. Thane, racked with guilt over being absent, consumed by his assassin work, and a vengeance rampage after his wife's murder, is determined to prevent Kolyat from damning his soul the same way Thane did. Shepard helps Thane track Kolyat down through detective-style investigation. Again, it's unique from most loyalty missions, quiet but tense. More about observation and understanding than it is about combat. You're watching a father trying to reconnect with his son who barely remembers him. In the end, you stop Kolyat before he makes a fatal mistake, and Thane confronts his son, apologizes for not being there, and urges him not to follow down the same dark road. If you're successful, Kolyat not only takes a step back from the murder, he reconnects with his father, promises to visit as Thane's illness continues to worsen, which is more than Thane ever thought possible. You can feel his immense relief and gratitude, and by saving his son, Thane finds a measure of peace. Before he dies, he wanted to rebuild his family, and if Shepard helped him act like a father one more time, Thane can actually die with no regrets. Thematically, Thane touches on forgiveness and legacy. A trained killer who speaks like a poet, offering reflective moments aboard the Normandy. Sharing philosophy about accepting responsibility for one's sins, experiencing vivid memory flashbacks that Drell have eidetic recall which he can share with you. He meditates on whether a lifetime of murder could be forgiven, and by choosing to do good with his final days, Thane embodies Mass Effect 2's hope amid darkness. Having Thane on the suicide mission also adds additional gravity. He knows this could be the end for him either way, yet he fights on, hoping to meet his deceased wife with honor, to prove that even someone who's taken so many lives can save many more. Players often cite Thane's conversations and ultimate fate as some of the most emotional content in the trilogy. That calm acceptance, that quiet determination to better in whatever time remains. Thane shows us that redemption isn't about erasing the past, it's about choosing differently in the present. About making the last chapter of your story count for something good, even if you're running out of pages. Tali also returns in Mass Effect 2, and she's all grown up now. No longer the wide-eyed teenager that was on pilgrimage in Mass Effect 1, now she's a respected young engineer among her people. She's matured into leadership while maintaining that warmth and bravery that made everyone fall in love with her in the first place. She remains the brilliant tech specialist in combat, hacking robots, commanding drones, surprisingly effective with a shotgun, and personally, she's still the same soul, brave, loyal, and the friend who'd follow you anywhere. But Mass Effect 2 tests her loyalty in unprecedented ways. Her loyalty mission brings Shepard into the heart of Quarian politics, and it's one of the game's most emotionally complex sequences. Excellent world building and expansion of the Geth-Quarian conflict that we touched on in Mass Effect 1. Treason finds Tali summoned to the Migrant Fleet under charges that she smuggled live Geth components to her father's ship, which resulted in a Geth outbreak that killed the entire crew. The player becomes Tali's advocate in a trial that unveils Quarian culture, their laws, their fears, and the political schism between admirals. Again, continuing the theme of each loyalty mission presenting unique mechanics, themes, and story implications. The painful truth slowly emerges that Tali's father was secretly conducting Geth experiments. Driven by desperation to find a weapon for the Quarians to reclaim their homeworld, his experiments went catastrophically wrong. He died, and Tali's shipments of parts, sent innocently to help her father's research, had inadvertently contributed to the disaster. For Tali, this is completely crushing, because it tarnishes the memory of her beloved father, Admiral Raul Zora. Her loyalty is torn between family, honor, and the honesty of her people. In a heartbreaking moment, Tali would actually rather accept exile than to allow her father's name to be posthumously disgraced. She's willing to sacrifice her place among her people to protect his legacy. And then the player faces a choice. Present evidence of Raul's deeds, proving Tali's innocence, but shaming her father, or persuade the Admiral Board to acquit Tali without revealing the ugly truth. However, if you can rally the board on faith alone, often through Paragon speeches about Tali's heroism and loyalty, they'll drop the charges. It's triumph of personal loyalty over rigid law, mirroring Tali's own values. She cares deeply for her community, but puts family and friendship first in her heart. Shepard standing by her, even lying for her, cements Tali's devotion. If you reveal the evidence instead, Tali is cleared formally, but heartbroken. She can temporarily lose loyalty if Shepard doesn't comfort her immediately afterwards, and that fragility underscores how much she yearns for understanding over cold justice. Once past the trial, Tali remains one of Shepard's most steadfast companions. She can even become a romance for male Shepard, one of the sweetest arcs as she overcomes fear and intimacy despite the environmental suit. Thematically, Tali's story highlights the conflict between duty to one's people and love for their family. It adds rich layers to the Quarians' narrative by showing the weight of their exile. Zora's extreme actions show a people pushed to the moral brink. Tali's predicament illustrates sacrifices individuals must make. Through it all, her fundamental character, loyal, compassionate, and brave, shines through brilliantly. Tali proves that sometimes the most important loyalty isn't to institutions or traditions, it's to the people who see you for who you really are beneath the mask. In her case, literally. Samara is an Asari Justicar, essentially a knight-errant sworn to an inflexible code of justice. When Shepard encounters her on Ilium, her imposing presence and raw biotic power are immediately on display. She's already lived for centuries, and her sense of purpose is absolute. I also love the history behind the Justicars, how everyone in the galaxy treats them with fear and respect in equal measure. The police are tasked with restraining Samara and plead to Shepard to intervene, since they know there's nothing they can do to stop a Justicar. Once Samara joins you, she's unfailingly polite, serene, devoted to duty with Zen-like discipline. In combat, she's a biotic powerhouse, often a calm voice of wisdom in the squad. Yet beneath that discipline lies turbulent personal tragedy. Her loyalty mission reveals that she's hunting her own daughter, Morinth, an Ardat Yakshi, a rare genetic condition in Asari that causes them to kill their mates during melding. Samara actually has 3 daughters with this curse, 2 who currently live reclusively to avoid harming others, but Morinth has rebelled. Spent 400 years as a vampiric seductress, leaving a trail of bodies behind her. Again, a really cool expansion of the lore around Asari. When Samara realizes that Morinth was a killer, she gave up everything to become a Justicar, partly to atone for death unleashed by her bloodline, and partly to gain the authority and single-minded focus to chase Morinth down. This is interesting mirror to Thane's storyline, where Thane has guilt over his own actions and is trying to save his son by pulling him off this path. Meanwhile, Samara has guilt over her daughter's actions and is trying to save her by killing her. This mixes duty with deep guilt and pain. Samara's outward commitment to justice masks a mother's heart that's been bleeding for centuries. The loyalty mission plays like a noir thriller through Omega's seedy underbelly. Shepard acts as bait for Morinth's murderous desire, and the confrontation in Morinth's apartment forces a choice. Help Samara execute her daughter, or side with Morinth in a very renegade choice that results in Samara's ultimate death. Canonically, and for most players, Samara prevails. In a biotic duel, mother and daughter battle until Shepard tips the scale. Samara reluctantly kills Morinth, holding her as the life fades from her eyes. It's harrowing, intimate, and the kind of kill that leaves scars no matter how justified. With Morinth's death, Samara's century-long mission has ended. Her life's work is complete. The aftermath is quiet devastation. She thanks Shepard, but you sense both relief and sorrow. Thematically, Samara's story delves into duty versus family, justice versus mercy. It asks if Samara's code is virtue or escape from personal pain. Ultimately, Samara proves unwavering. She will not abandon her code, even if tempted. Samara stands as an embodiment of principle in the squad, a foil to characters like Jack or Zaid who are fueled by personal rage. She shows the discipline and sacrifice required to truly live one's ideals, even if that means paying the ultimate personal cost, and even if that cost is your own child. And then we have our final base game companion in Legion, who's arguably my other favorite character introduced in Mass Effect 2, although it's criminal how little time we get with him in this game. Late in Mass Effect 2, Shepard acquires the most unlikely ally, Legion, a Geth mobile platform housing over 1,000 AI programs, collective consciousness given form. Legion challenges everything the player thought they knew. After all, the Geth were primary enemies in Mass Effect 1. But its very first notable act, patching its armor with a piece of Shepard's N7 armor, is a gesture showing curious loyalty even before activation. Legion speaks with synthesized calm, refers to itself as we because it's an amalgamation of many programs, and it provides fascinating lore about Geth society. The Geth that followed Saren and Sovereign were heretics, a radical sect who chose to worship the Reapers, while the majority of Geth did not. This revelation recontextualizes everything. They're not monolithic villains, they're sentient people grappling within a civil war, with philosophy, with what it means to exist. And this kicks off the story arc of humanizing the Geth and synthetics in general across the trilogy, a key theme as we get into the final act. Legion's loyalty mission takes this even further. A House Divided brings Shepard into a hidden Geth heretic station, where the heretics are on the verge of deploying a virus to forcibly convert all Geth to their own way of thinking. Shepard and Legion fight through the facility to try to stop this, and at the climax, Legion presents a morally loaded choice. Destroy the heretic Geth outright, which is essentially genocide from a certain perspective, or rewrite them with an update that makes them rejoin the main Geth consensus, which is essentially brainwashing. There's no easy answer. Even Legion is divided on the issue, and the Geth programs have not reached a consensus on what to do, so ultimately they ask Shepard. This is rare, a scenario where Shepard faces ethics of dealing with non-organic life's free will, and the game doesn't tell you which choice is right. It just shows you that for Geth, unity and survival are paramount. They're stronger together, and the heretic question is existential. The fact that Legion defers this decision to Shepard's judgment signals pragmatic trust. It demonstrates curiosity and logic that sometimes feels almost childlike. Like when Legion asks why Shepard kept the old armor pieces, possibly hinting at burgeoning individual identity. You'll also have to navigate potential confrontation between Legion and Tali. If you upset one of them through the mission's choices, they clash. Shepard can either pick a side, losing the other's loyalty, or use high Paragon Renegade dialogue options to calm them down, teaching mutual respect. If resolved peacefully, it's beautiful character growth. Legion acknowledges Tali's people's plight. Tali admits that not all Geth might be monsters. And honestly, resolving this conflict in the next game is a highlight of the entire trilogy, and hinges on a lot of the choices the player made in Mass Effect 2. Overall, Legion's presence broadens Mass Effect 2's thematic horizons, raising questions of AI rights, the nature of personhood, and the possibility of peace between ancient old enemies. It reinforces the game's motif of understanding the other, just as Shepard learned to work with Cerberus. They now literally fight alongside a Geth. That brings us to the DLC squadmates, who add different flavors to the crew dynamic. While I don't think they stand quite as tall as the core squadmates, they still bring interesting perspectives and have some really cool moments respectively. Zaid is a grizzled mercenary, all scars and gravelly voice. He joined because Cerberus contracted him. Simple transaction, and with a face full of old wounds and stories about killing people in creative ways, Zaid provides ruthless combat expertise. His loyalty mission, The Price of Revenge, reveals that he co-founded the Blue Suns mercenary company, only to be betrayed and nearly killed by his partner Vigo, decades ago. Now, chance is given him the opportunity for revenge. The mission starts as liberating a refinery from Blue Suns, quickly turns personal when Zaid spots Vito leading the enemy. His singular objective becomes killing Vito, even if it means setting everything ablaze and exposing trapped citizens to fire. The player faces critical choices here: help the trapped workers, which lets Vito escape, or pursue Vito at all costs, sacrificing the civilians. If Shepard chooses the noble path, Zaid is furious when Vito flees. He actually turns on Shepard in anger, leading to an intense standoff where you must intimidate or persuade him into line, or risk losing him entirely. If you go full renegade and help Zaid get revenge, Vito dies brutally. Yet even with revenge achieved, Zaid doesn't find expected satisfaction. Decades of bitterness aren't so easily erased. Our other DLC squadmate, Kasumi, is the master thief. Slick, stylish, and upbeat. She's introduced via holographic billboards on the Citadel, already a step ahead of the player. Her loyalty mission is a fan favorite for its James Bond flair. Stealing memory is a heist to recover the gray box belonging to her late partner and soulmate, Kelji, held in the vault of an arms dealer, Donovan Hawk, who murdered Kelji. Shepard and Kasumi don formal wear to infiltrate Hawk's lavish party, mingling, password hacking, and sampling champagne. It's a refreshing tonal shift showing off Kasumi's playful competence as she guides Shepard through the mission. Eventually, they break into the vault, fight Hawk's security, and claim the gray box. At the mission's end, Kasumi faces poignant choices. Keep the gray box and the precious memories of Keiji, risking dangerous secrets within, or destroy it to ensure sensitive information never sees light, erasing Keiji's memory forever. This crystallizes her inner conflict, pragmatism as a thief versus personal grief. Letting her keep it means she holds on to love and past, encouraging destruction means she chooses present and future over memory. Regardless, after this adventure, Kasumi fully warms to Shepard. The fact that Shepard risked a crazy mission for her personal closure touches her deeply. Both Zaid and Kasumi explore how unresolved past can distract from the present mission. Once their ghosts are confronted, revenge, satisfied, or a memory honored, they commit fully to whatever comes next. They prove that even mercenaries and thieves have hearts, have losses in their past that matter, and have reasons beyond money to risk everything. And okay, let's pause here because this has quickly ballooned into a massive video, and I still have a lot more that I want to say about this masterpiece of a game. In the next part of this love letter video, we'll dive into the story of Mass Effect 2, the key plot points, the DLC missions, and of course, the single greatest finale mission to a game. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the rest of this video series. And as always, thanks for watching.